Hey, deserving listeners, Jorge and Anfisa. Let's see what happened.
I don't really tell people because they're going to be like, sure.
Oh, yeah,
Look at
yeah. I don't believe it. My gut's telling me that that's not accurate.
Now, see, that's just what she said on the tape. Why do you think it is that people don't believe that?
Because look at me.
All right, so they showed a clip in which she revealed to her friend that George was her first and she'd never been with anyone else in terms of sex. And then the other cast member is saying that she doesn't believe it. And then Anfisa says, yeah, people don't believe it because look at me. All right.
What about when Anfisa told you that in real life?
I guess I believed her.
You guess?
I tried to vet her as much as I could, and my sources were limited. Like, I can't go to Russia, or I can't translate all the Russian social media that there's out there. I tried to really look into her, and nothing would come up.
Okay, at first that sounds pretty nefarious. I vetted her. I tried to find sources. But I think he's phrasing it funny because it would make sense that if you're dating someone online that you might snoop around their social media just to check them out, just, for a variety of reasons when you're interested, but also you might, in the person and curious about them and want to know more about them, but also potentially snooping around within reason, trying to find information. A lot of people will do that, so he's wording it a little funny. But I will say that I don't have any reason to disbelieve her. There's nothing unusual about people waiting a long time to have sex with someone, so there's that. Also, I wonder if due to her relational traumas and maybe even sexual traumas, that it might be hard for her to trust someone enough to be physical with someone. I don't know. I don't have any reason to believe that. But given her presentation, given my hypothesis about her relational traumas, I wouldn't be surprised if she was pretty reserved and pretty careful and afraid to engage with people for fear of being exploited and harmed. And it isn't to say that she didn't have physical interactions with people in the past, for better or for worse. So I think is just saying she hadn't had a particular version of sex yet before George. Right?
Today, George, you seem to be just in a different mindset. Like, you seem to be very angry at her. So in your mind, she did something to make you angry. What was that?
She cheated.
What are you talking about?
Do you know that for sure?
Oh, yeah, I know.
We're learning that he believes that she cheated, and she's saying that that didn't happen. So are we talking about some gray zone thing where she was talking with someone online, or I don't know, let's find out.
How did you find out?
She ended up confessing.
Anfisa, did you confess to cheating on George?
No.
She doesn't call it cheating, but when you're married and you go out with somebody else, isn't that cheating?
Okay, so he's saying that she went out with someone else. And I guess, she'll probably say it was just a friend, I hope. I don't know.
Anfisa, did you go out with another man?
No, I didn't.
You did not?
She's lying to you.
Why do you say she's lying?
Because I know she's lying to you.
Did you see her out with this person, or are you just thinking she went out with somebody?
No. I put the pieces together.
You've not been out to dinner with another man?
No.
You've not been over to another man's house?
Lying.
You've not been in a car with another man? Nothing.
She's lying.
He seems to be speaking from a place of where he believes this to be true, that she's lying. The way that he is saying this, it seems like he's not just putting on a show, and she doesn't seem to be opposing it in a way that you would think someone would if they were like, wait, what? What are you even talking? She's being very matter of fact. Now, she's pretty reserved, so who knows? But, I'm not going to, I don't know obviously what happened, but, he also said that she confessed to it, so I wouldn't be surprised. So let's just take a guess as to what happened. Their relationship has been pretty bad. I think they're essentially broken up at this point, at least emotionally. And she met someone and she thought, well, he wants to take me out to dinner and I'll go out to dinner with him. I won't do anything with him. And maybe it's just a one-time thing, but I just want to get out of the house, or I don't know, something along those lines. And then she tells him about it, maybe in a fight, but that would be, or he figures something out because she doesn't usually leave the house, and he's like, I'm pretty sure that, and then she's like, yeah, I did. I went out with someone, and I did that because you don't treat me well, or I don't know. I'm speculating a lot. I'm just trying to fit what they're saying into a plausible scenario. There are other plausible scenarios. And then she comes on the show and she's like, well, I don't want to get into a debate about this, and I don't want to come across like I'm a horrible person, so I'm just going to deny the whole thing. And then he's like, wait, you said that you did.
Why do you say she's lying?
Well, obviously she's working the green card system, right?
If he says that I'm trying to get the green card or something, why would I do something like that?
George, she's saying it's not true.
Yeah, but you'd also think she would say other things, like, when would I have done this? What evidence do you have? You know, usually people would refute the data or something. Instead, she's like, what? You know, in fact, I think that's a common, I don't know if this is exactly true, but anecdotally, I would say that when people are trying to get away with a lie, they'll often say a phrase like that. They'll say, like, you know, why would I do that if I wanted to? You know, they'll have that kind of question, especially if it's the only thing you would say. I mean, just imagine, you know, say my wife accuses me of cheating or going out with someone. I mean, there would be so many things that I would say. I'd be like, what? How'd you come to that conclusion? What are you talking about? Like, what night are you talking about? Let me look at my calendar and tell you, you know, I'll tell exactly what I was doing. There'd be a lot more things that I would say, but she's just like, why would I do that if I, and then he's saying that she wants to get a green card, so she doesn't want that information out there. I would also imagine that she also just doesn't want to be humiliated on camera. I'd also imagine that she might want to retain the relationship with George, but he's claiming that she already admitted. I don't know. Really no way for me to know. I'm guessing we're not going to find out.
She's lying.
Anfisa, tell me what you're thinking right now.
I'm not going to say anything better because that's kind of low. We had this relationship, we had feelings, and it would be just stupid to say something bad now.
Does anybody want to weigh in on this?
This is a joke. This is ridiculous.
Did she just admit, Anfisa, did she just admit that she had feelings for someone, or is she talking about George? Let's throw in that.
It's not true.
She's lying.
Anfisa, tell me what you're thinking right now.
I'm not going to say anything better because that's kind of low. We had this relationship, we had feelings, and it would be just stupid to say something bad now.
Does anybody want to weigh in?
I mean, the way she's saying it, the nonverbal way, the way she's expressing it, it sounds like she's talking about George, but it doesn't, I don't know. What do you think? What is she saying right there?
We have seen among all of the couples. Let's take a look.
Hello?
So what? You told me you were gonna come back to the apartment and you didn't. Get off me!
What?
All right, I'm actually curious as to what Anfisa will say when this is being played. She might not have even known that this was being recorded. My guess, my hypothesis is that a lot of that phone behavior that we've seen on camera, she did not know that she was being filmed because she presents very differently on camera. I don't think as a manipulation. I think she knows to some extent that this side of her is unseemly. And I think this is what he sees all the time when the camera's not there, or at least more of this, where she is very upset. She is extremely triggered and arguably abusive, potentially. Now, in this moment, he just flat out lied to her, right? He said, I'm going to the garage or something, and then he just disappeared, and she's like, what? So, now he will say, she won't let me leave the house. I was going to go talk to a lawyer, and she would have abused me to prevent me from leaving. So that's what he'll say. And so along those lines, if someone is in an abusive relationship, sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get to safety. And talking to an attorney might be a part of that, and lying might be a part of that. I would say if you're in a truly abusive relationship, you should have a team around you that's helping you, and you should come up with a better lie than that, right? Because when you don't come back for a couple hours, the abusive person will know something's up, and plus they walk outside, you're not there. Yeah, so it was a pretty bad lie, poorly executed lie, ineffective lie. But yeah, I'm curious as to what she'll say to this. I think she has an approach to the tell-all of just like, I'm just gonna salvage as best I can, and I'm not gonna react, because if I get vulnerable, if I get real, I'm gonna reveal my true self, which I don't think is gonna go well for me, and so I'm just gonna remain very subdued. Let's see what she says.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Unfortunately, life doesn't come with a user manual. Navigating all the various challenges we face can make you feel unsure or stuck in place, whether it's a relationship or going through grief or considering a new career. And, generally speaking, a therapist can really help with that by helping you to explore your feelings and by giving you the space to clarify what you want to do. In my life, I can't imagine where I'd be without the therapy I've had. During some of the biggest moments of my life, therapists have been there for me, to slow me down, to listen to me, to help me explore. Well, that's where BetterHelp comes in. As the world's largest therapy service, BetterHelp has matched 3 million people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists available 100% online. Plus, it's affordable. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to match with a therapist. If things aren't clicking, you can easily switch to a new therapist anytime. It couldn't be simpler. No waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/Kirk. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Kirk.
Is a problem.
You're gonna get back and stop me! Hey, I need to go, but you didn't! You just left! I'm gonna come back right now!
I am coming back.
You lied to me!
I am coming back now.
Wow, I forgot how severe this was. Yeah, I mean, I remembered it being severe, but that's that's particular, and I'm pretty sure where that comes from is just tremendous pain, right? That my hypothesis has been pretty early on that she has abandonment trauma, betrayal trauma, and in this moment she was betrayed and abandoned in a very real way, and lied to and left and rejected, and it probably triggered something really quite primal in her, and that you just hear the emotion, right?
Hey, where are you going?
I'm going to get my wallet.
Bring me my red bag with my makeup.
Can I have a key?
Yeah, so another moment where she is being aggressive verbally with him, and yeah, we've been over that already.
You want to be happy. I'm agreeing to certain things.
Nothing.
I think you're too immature to know this.
So what? Don't smile at me like that.
I'm telling you, it's not.
Tell me what?
Huh? I'm telling you that it's.
Tell me what?
Yeah, they're gonna show when she strikes him. So I kind of wish they would have just showed that one scene where she was screaming on the phone, because I wonder if blasting her with all this footage that she might not have even seen or remember to some extent, or at least remembers it in a different way, that if she's overwhelmed with these, with this footage, she'll shut down completely. So, but yeah, trigger warning, we're going to be watching, so you want to fast forward if you don't want to see a physical abusive moment.
I think we're meeting with Lourdes.
What does this mean? Why didn't you tell me?
I knew you would get mad.
And we're reminded, I am anyway, of the behavior that he engages in. Now, you could argue that it's because he's being abused, but if you don't believe that, then his behavior is not okay, right? He was calling her names, you're immature, and that kind of thing, and then now he tricked her into meeting with an attorney, I think, or his sister, or both. Anyway, and she thinks they're there for a different reason, and so it's not okay to do to someone unless you have a justifiable reason, which people could argue, but I don't know.
We're leaving. Let's go.
Either way, that doesn't justify the way that she's acting right now. It's just flat out. There's very rarely a situation where putting hands on would be justified. Your partner has your child and is about to throw them over, it's just something like that. There are situations where you would put hands on, but obviously this is not one of those situations.
You're not meeting nobody.
Whoa.
obviously, I don't think anybody would condone, any spouse hitting the other.
Exactly.
Now, George, how often does this happen? How often has Anfisa gotten so mad at you that she actually hit you?
I don't sit there and take count, but it happens pretty often.
Yeah, wow. I'm glad I'm watching the tell-all. That was my suspicion, because if it's caught on camera, then that's just those moments. We understand that 99% of their relationship is not being captured on camera. And if she's willing to do that on camera at the risk of being outed for it, we would imagine that she would be much more ready to do it without the cameras there. And now, if it came across like she was faking it or playing it up, then I'd be like, well, maybe she just does it on the camera because she's trying to get some drama going or something. But it looks like it is a genuine explosion of rage. And she seems you can see it in her body language. The situation is consistent with other situations. They showed that one where he's calling her immature, and she kind of lunges for a second, but then she stops. Yeah, so I don't doubt that. That's pretty awful.
Like, I feel like I'm dealing with a 4-year-old.
When you look at that, Anfisa, do you go, oh,
Yeah,
does
I
it
do.
make you uncomfortable?
It sure did made me uncomfortable.
All right, so good question from Sean. She's like, does that make you oof? And she says, yeah, that makes me uncomfortable. Now, what kind of uncomfortable? Is it just like embarrassment for being outed or remorse for her behavior?
What made you so angry?
I had anger building up inside of me, and that was just the boiling point.
And so you felt like,
I felt like, you lied to me again?
I feel like she always depends on me for everything, and then if she doesn't get her way, she always blames me for it.
Isn't that what you wanted, a woman that would depend on you?
No, just like for simple things. Do I have to?
All right, well, the conversation has been derailed to talking about something that's ancillary to the issue. If I were in the room, I'd be curious and ask, for her to clarify. So when you're uncomfortable, what makes you uncomfortable about it? And do you think it's okay? Is it a policy of yours? Do you feel bad? Yeah, you have your reasons for doing it, and it's not okay for him to lie or to call you names, but it's also really not okay to physically abuse your partner. So do you understand that, or does it? Now, as I say that out loud, I'm pretty sure that she believes that it's fine. People who are like that typically do believe that to be true. They know it's kind of wrong, but they also feel justified. They feel righteous in the moment. They don't wake up in the morning and say, I can't, some do, but most don't. They don't usually wake up in the morning and say, I can't wait to hit my partner. But when they're in the act of it and afterwards looking back, they're like, well, yeah, I have a temper. I went a little far. But, they deserve what they get. They know what kind of person I am. They know what kind of, thing about Angela and the way that she justifies it. So I wouldn't be surprised, given the extent of the behavior, that she believes it's fine. Now, I'm guessing there's a part of her that feels ashamed, but I'm guessing that she was modeled this behavior, that it was normal to see that. The way that she talks is kind of like that. It's like, well, I got frustrated and I get angry because it was a buildup of anger, and he lied. I was just in the time, I'm just thinking, you lied to me again? And that way of framing it, right? Instead of seeing it for what it is, which is it's physically abusive and criminal. It's a crime to do that.
Throw a red carpet down every time you take a step?
I don't want to turn into Danielle and Mohammed and sit here and argue, but you should keep your promises. If you said you're going to come back in 15 minutes, come back in 15 minutes.
well, what we do know from the very beginning, Anfisa said she wanted a good life. She wanted to buy expensive things. She wanted to, wear expensive clothes, etc.
All right, so we have moved on to another topic. I really wish they would have clarified with her. I'm pretty sure I know how Anfisa would have answered those questions, but I'd be curious as to how she would respond to that. It would tell us a lot about how she justifies it, or if she thinks that that's okay, or where she learned that from, or something. All right, well, that is it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.